I'm about to cover all of the objections in one single video. So you've already been through the sales fundamentals, you've already been to the consult, you're on the quote review call, and you've just went through and you basically agreed with the homeowner that your service is the best service. So once the homeowner wants the outcome you've described, an objection usually falls into one of these two categories. There's logistical, so they want to move forward, but something practical is genuinely preventing them, money, partner, time, or fear-based. So the logistics work, but they still don't feel certain enough to commit. Okay? So always assume the objection may be logistical first. If you immediately challenge their mindset when they have a genuine issue with money, timing, or their partner, you create resistance and lose trust. Imagine you're financially constrained and someone's trying to coach you into a decision by saying, hey, I know it's scary, but you need to do this because it's a leap, but you just don't have the money in your bank account to actually invest into the program. You're going to piss off your prospects and you're going to burn them and stop them from going ahead. So the hierarchy is logistical objections first and then fear-based. Get all of the logistical stuff out of the way and then you can handle the fear-based objections, right? So the process is simple. Isolate the objection. So say, hey, like this objection aside, is this the only thing, stopping you from being 100% sure that this is what you want to do? Or this aside, do you feel like this is the answer for you? Do you feel like this is the thing that you were looking for, right? So you want to make sure that one, this is the best thing for them. And then two, that if we can handle this one thing, then are you good to go, right? Because if you can handle that, then the chance they go ahead is extremely likely. They can still obviously say other objections, but the chance they go ahead is very likely, right? Then confirm they would move forward if it resolves, just like I said, and then work with them to find a practical solution. So you want it to be you and the homeowner versus the objection instead of how it probably is right now, the homeowner with the objection versus you. So you want to get on the homeowner's side of the table so the objection can be on the other side of the table so that you can help the person, and we'll run through how to do that here. But ask how they would like to proceed once you handle the objection. And if another objection appears, just repeat and rinse and repeat until you handled everything and you can go ahead. If all logistics are resolved, but they still hesitate, the real issue is fear and uncertainty. So objection one, finance, money, price. This will be 80% of your objections, right? And it'll always start with this. Because if they want to speak to their partner, they want to speak to their partner about the money. If the time isn't right, it's not the right time to spend the money, right? So no matter what, especially if someone says, like, hey, I need to think on it for 3 days and then speak to my partner about it, and I'm not sure if it's the right time, always just default to money first, right? So if someone gives you a bunch of shit, just say, hey, price aside, do you think this is the answer for you, right? Because typically it's about money, and it's always worth figuring out the money and first, because that is going to take up most of your logistical objections, right? And if you can handle that first, then the chance is going to be fear-based is a lot more likely, which will make your time on the call a lot more structured and a lot more easy and a lot more predictable as well. But finance, so it's more than we expected. So don't immediately defend the price or offer a discount. That's how you put yourself on the other side of the table so that it's the homeowner and the objection versus you, right? So being defensive is how that happens, right? So what you want to do instead is first isolate the issue. So putting the payment aside for a moment, do you feel this is the right solution for the outcome you want? If they say yes, the project itself is not the objection, the structure of the investment is, right? So then ask, when you say it's more than expected, is it the total investment itself, or is it more about how the payments would need to be made, right? And especially when when you're going through this, like you want to start all of these answers and all of these questions with, okay, completely understand. Okay, completely fine. Like reassure them, so that you don't sound defensive and so that you can put yourself in with them so that you can frame every question as hey, I'm here to help you. It's me and you right now versus this objection, right? Because by the point in this call, the person has already told you that you are the best solution, right? So you want to remind them of that we are the best and I'm going to help you out so that you can get the best, right? So that's how you want to take the framing when you're handling these objections, right? When you say it's more than expected, is it the total investment itself or is it more about how the payments would need to be made? Just so I can understand, right? This helps you determine whether they genuinely can't afford it or whether the current payment structure simply just doesn't work, right? Then move to the same side of the table with them, right? Understood. What do you think we need to change financially for this to become workable for you? Okay. And depending on the business and the contract requirements, you may be able to discuss stage payments, the deposit structure, financing options, reduce scope. Do you have any credit available, right? All that kind of stuff, right? So the goal is to solve the funding problem without automatically reducing the value or price. Once you reach a structure that they say works, do not force a yes or no. Close, just ask, okay, so that works within what you're comfortable with. How would you like to proceed? Right? And also just get their confirmation like, hey, so if we could do this, this, and this, if we could split it up into 4 payments every 10 days of, 6,500, whatever you're doing, that works for you. Get the yes, make sure they're 100% committed, and then say, how would you like to proceed? Right? That leaves the door open for either the sale or the next genuine objection. Because if you go in for the sale, you'll try and collect money, they'll push out halfway through, and it'll be very fucking awkward, right? So leave it open-ended always. Don't just go, hey, where's your credit card, right? Leave it open-ended, okay? So objection 2, partner. So I need to speak to my partner, okay? So do not assume this is fake. On a major renovation, both people may genuinely need to be involved, right? So first, isolate it. If your partner had been here for the entire conversation, understood the scope, and felt comfortable with the outcome, would you personally be happy to move forward? If the answer is no, the partner is not the real objection, go back and find out what they are personally uncertain about, okay? If the answer is yes, ask, what do you think their main concern is likely to be, okay? So their answer tells you what actually needs to be addressed, okay? So it may be an investment, the timing, the disruption, or uncertainty around the scope. Then clarify the decision-making process. So say, is this something you both need to agree on before making a commitment, or are you mainly just wanting to keep them informed? So if they need their partner's agreement, don't send them away to poorly repeat an hour-long consultation. Make it easy for them, right? So rather than putting you in a position to explain everything, let's book a short follow-up call with both of you. I can walk you through the scope, answer their questions, and make sure you're both comfortable. And then at the end of that, I would say, does that sound like it makes more sense for you and your partner so you guys can both make the correct decision? And you should get a yes 90% of the time, right? So the goal is not to bypass the partner. It is to bring the real life decision maker into the conversation. Because if you're trying to make that person go ahead without the partner being there, it can definitely raise some red flags mentally, right? And if you genuinely are confident in your solution, then you should be willing to get the partner involved in the conversation as soon as possible in order to show the partner as well that your solution is the best, so that her partner, his partner, is going to choose you as well. Okay, so that's the partner objection. Objection 3, timing. So we're not quite ready yet. Timing objections are often vague. So your first job is to make them specific, right? So you do that by asking probing questions, right? So ask, what would need to happen before the timing felt right? Then gently clarify, is there a specific event you're waiting for, such as a settlement, approval, another project, finishing, or a certain date? Or is it more of a general feeling that now isn't the right time? If it is specific, it's probably a genuine logistical issue. Agree on the next step and put it in the diary. You can go in for a deposit, especially if it's a smaller project. For example, that makes sense. If the settlement is expected in September, let's schedule a call for the week after so we can review everything and decide what happens next, right? So if they cannot name anything specific, then timing may be fear-based disguised as logistics, right? So you can then isolate it. So if the timing itself is taken care of, would you feel comfortable moving forward with us? Okay, if they still hesitate, the issue is not really calendar, there's another concern underneath it. Okay, and once again, if someone mentions that, even if they've got a logistical reason for not going ahead, there's no reason why you can't at least ask for and go in for the deposit on the call, especially if it's not a larger project where you'll be taking deposits of 10, 20K plus. When the logistics are solved, but they still hesitate, you may resolve the price structure, confirm the partner is aligned, and establish that the timing works. And still here, I just need to think about it. The most annoying 7 words you'll ever hear in your whole life, okay? So at this point, don't keep offering logistical solutions, okay? You cannot solve an emotional concern with another payment plan or a different start date, okay? So bridge the conversation calmly, right? So that makes sense. We all make decisions based on how we currently see the situation, right? So completely fine, I get that. Okay, would you be open to looking at what's making you hesitate from a slightly different angle, right? Then help, and obviously put this in your own words. I know this sounds natural in my words. Put this in your own language. Then help them identify the actual fear, right? So what specifically are you uncertain about? Just so I can understand. Okay, what are you concerned might happen if you go ahead, right? So just say, hey, worst case scenario, like what happens? What would happen in worst case scenario if you were to go ahead? Okay, what would you need to feel fully comfortable with this decision, right? All fair questions. The issue may be fear of choosing the wrong contractor, hitting cost disruption, making expensive mistake, or repeating a bad past experience, right? So stay calm. Don't get frustrated or argumentative or overly aggressive. A homeowner hesitating before spending tens of thousands of dollars is not behaving irrationally. You have spoken to them for, at this point, probably a few hours, right? So you do not get to make a decision on their behalf from 2-3 hours of context on their life situation, right? So it is not fair to think that you know the best thing for them, but you want to work with them and see if it would be the best thing for them and if they're just kind of scared to make the investment, right? Which is why the best way to handle this is to stay calm, don't get defensive, stay on the homeowner side of the table and leave the objection on the other side of the table, and just keep asking probing questions, right? And when you think you understand what their situation is, and if their situation is, hey, I'm generally just kind of scared to do this, that's when you can come to the homeowner. And I'll give you an example for a mum that's looking for a bathroom renovation. Let's just say then we're in a high income area. It's practical for her kids and her toddlers to use, but is also extremely high end finishes and looks great so that people are impressed with it when they come to her home, for example, okay? So that's when you would come in, when you know it's the right thing for her, and you would say, hey, we've been talking for 2 to 3 hours now. Over the last 40 minutes of this call, you've told me multiple times that this is exactly what you're looking for. And people that you've gotten quotes from before aren't the best solution for you because of X, Y, and Z, and that we are the best because of X, Y, and Z, right? Get her to agree. Yeah, cool. And then say, okay, I know $65,000 bathroom, like that's not incredibly easy decision to make, but I mean, we've both mutually agreed that this is the best thing for you. So what do you need to do to put yourself in the best position to get a bathroom that's going to be both practical for your kids and also deliver the kind of finishes that you want with high-end finishes so that Becky and Sally are jealous about your bathroom when they come and see the house? You know, what do you think, what kind of decision do you need to make so that you can create that kind of bathroom? Okay, and then you just leave it with her. Okay, and if you've laid it out like that and it's genuinely a fear-based objection and you've already sorted out the logistical side of things, then the only logical conclusion for her to make is for her to go ahead with you, okay? So your job is to understand whether the issue is practical or emotional, address the correct issue, and help them reach a clear decision.